Hello, this is Mrs. Hickman, and today we're going to be going over exponential and logarithmic functions, and we're going to do some applications at the end. So before we get started, let's go over the derivatives of exponential functions first. So we have y equals e to the x. Okay, the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. Okay? The other way of saying this is if you see d over dx, e to the x, so the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. Okay? And then let's say we have y equals e to the u. Okay? So this is going to be the chain rule of sorts for this. So it's going to be the derivative of u times e to the u. Okay, here's the other way. Equals u prime e to the u. And then y equals a to the u. So let's say like a is 2 instead of e. The derivative of a of u is going to be u prime times a of u natural log of a. Okay. And the other way of writing this, d over dx of a to the u is going to equal y prime equals u prime a to the u ln of a. Okay? So there's your derivatives of exponential functions. Next, we're going to do some examples. So we have y equals 2 to the x. So u is going to be 2x. U prime is 2. So my derivative is what this is saying is going to be u prime times e to the u. So the derivative is going to be 2 e to the 2x. And that's how you find the derivative. Alright, next we have y equals 3 to the x. So that's going to be looking like this one. So you need the derivative of u, which is just x. So the derivative of x is just 1 times a to the u, so 3 to the x, ln of 3. So final answer can be 3 to the x ln of 3. Next example, we're going to be using the product rule. So y prime. So the product rule is f prime of g plus g prime of f. So f prime is going to be 2x. G is just e to the x plus, we're just right here, not here yet, plus g prime of f. So g prime is just going to be e to the x times x squared. So I like to just put my x's in front of the e's. And then we have another one. So minus, I'm going to go ahead and put a parentheses around. So f prime is 1 times g, which is e to the x, plus g prime, which is going to be g prime of e to the x is going to be e to the x times f. Okay, if this helps, I'll go ahead and write those down. So we had f equals x squared, f prime equals 2x, g is e to the x, g prime is e to the x. So that's for this one right here. And then for this one, you're going to have f is x, f prime is 1, g is e to the x, g prime is also e to the x. Okay, let's simplify this a little bit more. 2x e to the x plus x squared e to the x minus e to the x minus x e to the x. Okay, I see a like term here, so 2x e to the x minus x e to the x is x e to the x plus x squared e to the x minus e to the x. And there you go. Alright, that's example. So we're going to be using some trick here. So u is going to be cotangent of x. U prime is going to be negative cosecant squared x. So y prime is going to be negative cosecant squared x e to the cotangent x. Okay. Right, next example. Okay. Alright, so logarithmic differentiation, remember that the domain has to be greater than 0. So let's go over these. So d over dx, so the derivative of ln of u is going to be 1 over u times u prime. Now you can either do u prime times 1 over u, it doesn't matter. I'll just do that. U prime times 1 over u. Okay, that's your derivative. So the derivative of the natural log function is going to be u prime times 1 over u. Okay, and then one more, d over dx of log base A u is going to be u prime times 1 over u ln of A. Okay, so you just have to worry about two derivatives here and here. Remember the different bases. This is the natural log base. Okay, so that's probably why that goes away, because ln of e is just 1. So this is technically the same thing. You have u prime 1 over u ln of e. ln of e is 1. And then if you don't see a base here, it's just like ln of log of u, the base is going to be 10. Okay, so if this was a base 10, it would be u prime times 1 over u ln of 10. Or log of 10, which is 1. Okay. Alrighty. Yes, log of 10 is 1 from here. So you have the same base, that brings down to 1. And natural log of e is also 1. Same kind of concept. This base is e, this is e, so you use the power just comes down. Okay, let's do some examples. So this is going to be u prime times 1 over u. U is 2x. U prime is 2. So y prime is going to be u prime 2 times 1 over u, which is going to be 1 over x. Okay. Next one, natural log of 10 over x. I'm going to kind of make this into y equals the natural log of 10x to the negative 1. Okay, so u is 10x to the negative 1. Power rule, so 10 times negative 1 is negative 10. Subtract 1, you get x to the negative 2. So that's what u prime is. So you have u prime, and another way to write this is going to be negative 10 over x squared. So u prime is going to be negative 10 over x squared times 1 over u. So where u is 10x to the negative 1. So 1 over 10 over x, which is going to be negative 10 over x squared times x over 10. So your y prime is going to be negative 1 over x. That's your derivative of that function. Okay. And let's do this. So you can do the product rule here. F is x, f prime is 1, g is ln of x, so g prime is just going to be, so the derivative of x is 1 times ln, so it's going to be u prime times 1 over u, so 1 times 1 over x is just going to be 1 over x. So y prime is going to be ln of x plus x times 1 over x minus 1. So the minus 1 comes from the derivative of minus 1 right there. So simplified, it's going to be ln of x plus 1 minus 1, which is just going to be ln of x. Okay. And that's how you get those. Okay, so next we're going to be applying our examples to tangent and normal lines. Okay. So our first example, at what point on the graph of y equals 2e to the x minus 1 is the tangent line normal to y equals negative 3x plus 2? So the first thing I'm going to see, I see normal, so it needs to be normal to this line. So if the slope of this line is negative 3, the normal slope is going to be 1/3. Okay, so at what point on the graph of y equals 2e to the x minus 1 is a line tangent to that? So we're going to need to be looking at slopes. So let's go ahead and find the derivative of this. So because we're looking for the line that's going to be tangent to this line at an x value, which we are looking at. Okay, so y prime is going to be 2e to the x. Okay, so now I'm going to set my slopes equal to each other. So I'm going to have 2e to the x equals 1/3. Okay, I'm going to isolate e to the x by multiplying by 1/2. I'm just multiplying by, or you can divide by 2, just multiplying by 1/2 because I see a fraction on this side. So e to the x equals 1/6. Natural log both sides. So this just brings the x here, and then ln of e is 1. So x equals the ln of 1/6, which is going to be equivalent to around negative 1.79. So here's our x value. So now we're looking to find our y value. So we find our y value by putting this into our function right here. So you can do y equals 2e to the negative 1.79 minus 1, and you're going to get negative 0.67. So your point at which the graph is, the point on the graph of y equals 2e to the x minus 1, that is, with that is going to be negative 1.79, negative 0.67. Or, if you want to be fancy, you can say x is ln of 1/x, and then you have 2e to the ln of 1/6. minus 1 is going to be ln of 1 over 6. 2 times 1 over 6 minus 1. So that's going to be ln of 1 over 6, 1/3, minus 3 over 3. And you get ln of 1 over 6 and negative 2/3. More precise point right there. Okay, so this is going to be the point where the tangent line is normal to this line. Okay. Next example. So a line with slope m passes through the origin and is tangent to y equals ln of x over 3. What is m? Well, first let's find slope how we used to find it. So let's make this point 0, 0. So we have one point is 0, 0. And we're going to have another point. I'm just going to call this point A, ln of a over 3. Okay? So we're going to find our slope according to that. Okay? So we're finding the slope of this line. So if you're looking at this graph right here, we're looking for the slope of the red line right here. That's what we're looking for. Okay? And just like in Algebra 1, you use 2 points, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find your slope between 2 points. So that's going to be m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is going to give you ln of a over 3 minus 0 over a minus 0. So you're going to get ln of a over 3 over a. Okay? So that's my slope of this line, but I also need to find the slope of this line. And I find the slope of this line by taking the derivative. And what I actually want is going to be y prime of this x value right here, because that's going to be when the slope of this line and a point that's tangent to the curve on this line is going to be equal. So I'm going to do y prime okay, so the derivative of ln of x over 3, that's going to be u prime, which is 1/3 ln, or 1/3 times 1 over u. Or x over 3. This is x over 3. So that's going to give us 1/3 times 3 over x, and we get 1 over x. Okay, so now we're going to see when the slope is the same. So to find where the slope is the same, so let's make this into, so since we're looking for a, so we're going to do y prime of a. So let's make y equal, so 1 over x. So we're going to be doing y prime of a. Okay, so this is y prime with respect to x. Y prime of a equals the slope here. So y prime of a is going to make that into 1 over a. And then we're just going to put this one down here. Okay, so let's cross multiply. So we're looking for a. So bring that a up here. That's going to be 1 equals ln of a over 3. To get rid of an ln, you just base e both sides. So you're going to have e equals a over 3. So a is going to be 3e. Okay, so this is going to be the x value right here. So to find the slope, we're going to do y prime of 3e is going to be the 1 over 3e. So that's the slope. That's your answer right here. So if we're looking on the graph right here, our x value that we're looking at is going to be 3e. Okay, and you're also going to see that's where they're going to have the same y values as well. So if I hit trace and I do 3e, I get that for y1, which is the blue line, and if I do it again for the red line, I'm also going to get the same thing. So the slope of the line at that graph is going to be 1 over 3e. Okay. So that is going to be the slope. So your homework will be on Renweb. Have a great day.